So here we go. So as we get going in today's discussion, we're going to talk about several different things. And the first thing is starting out with this idea of hard times. So we're seeing that. I mean, I hear that from different people. I've had conversations with people in various stages of their real estate business, and people are feeling like, even though it's the holiday season, or even though we have different things that are proactively happening in our lives, oftentimes we come across hard times in our real estate business. And it's not uncommon to feel like we have this upward battle that we're going through in our journey to find more and more success, or to find some sort of success, or some sort of semblance of success. As we step into today's discussion, there are a couple of things I want to keep in mind. Number one, life's challenges are not supposed to paralyze you. They're supposed to help you discover who you are. So as you look to become a better version of you, and as you look to move your business forward, you are going to run into some different challenges and obstacles. If it was super, super easy, then everybody already have it. It'd already be done. Like if the hardest part of real estate success was the 120 hours to be able to get your license, then everybody would be successful when they got into the business. But it doesn't work that way. In fact, the majority of people who get into real estate, they're going to see a different level of challenge that's going to be in front of them. And some are prepared for it, and some are not prepared for it. Some are mentally ready for the challenge, and some really have a hard time when they go up against it. And the thing to keep in mind is that your strength does not come from winning. Like your struggles will deepen your strengths. So when you go through hardships and decide not to surrender, that's where you start to find your true strength. As you start to look at the ways of moving your business forward, like it's going to come from the times when you are challenged and finding hardship. So I've watched this recently in the sports arena. So my son, he had an undefeated football season. Like they're a ninth grade football team. They just rolled through the regular season and they rolled through the playoffs. And I think the closest game they had was like there was one game where they were missing a couple of their players and they won by maybe it was a touchdown or a little more than a touchdown. But they like rolled through the regular season and had this undefeated record, and which is exciting for that team. Like they had a good football team this year. And as the season ended, my son decided he wanted to get into wrestling. This is first, we haven't been a wrestling family. Like I grew up playing basketball. It's weird for me that right now, this is the first season that I can think of that I am not involved in basketball. Like I've always had at least one of my kids playing, or I've been coaching, or I've been involved with basketball. In fact, I even coached basketball before my kids were even born. And this is our first season like that I'm just kind of detached from that. So we've stepped into the world of wrestling right now. And it is a different world. Like I'm still trying to figure out how points work. I'm still trying to understand the terminology and everything else. But what I think is interesting is as my son has stepped into this world of wrestling, he made a comment to my wife, like early on, like he was doing really well in the initial practices. And the coach has said, man, you've never wrestled before, but you're really strong and you're doing really well. And he's doing great for a freshman coming in. So he thought, well, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do really well in this. Like I'm going to step in and like, I'm going to really show people how it goes. Well, we've gone through, it's been a month now, and he's had some like all out battles. He's a strong kid, but he's wrestling against kids who some of them have been wrestling for years. So even though he's physically strong and like trying to move people around, they understand techniques, they understand different move and leverage points, they understand different parts of it. And what's happened is it's become a very humbling experience for my son, because he stepped into a sport that he hasn't ever played or participated in before. And it's been a very humbling process as he goes through it. Now, he enjoys it. He's still going. He's making dramatic improvement. Like you can see from week to week, from tournament to tournament, like he's making a significant improvement, but he's still learning how to play. He's still learning how the game works. He's still learning how to be able to pin someone. Like it's a whole different world. And I think that has a lot to do with how we step into our real estate world. Like for many of us, we get into this because we have some sort of level of confidence. We've heard from other people that said, you know what, you'd be really good at real estate. You should do this. Or we've had like different semblances of successes in other parts of our world. And we think, all right, well, it's real estate. I'm good at relationships. I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at connecting with people. I'm very authentic. So real estate should just work for us. But sometimes it comes across as like a little bit harder than we thought going into it. And I want to talk a little bit about this concept of rule of thirds. And I heard about this from some different athletes who are training to go to the Olympics. And they talk about a little bit about this concept of the rule of thirds. And the rule of thirds is simply this. When we're doing something and when we're chasing a goal, oftentimes we think we should feel good all the time. Like we're on this journey. Like we did, for some of us that went through the business planning, we talked about how to plan out for 2024. And we feel like if we're on the right track, things should just be working out for us. And oftentimes we might, and maybe we don't want to admit to say that, but we kind of feel like that. Like we feel like we should have a disproportionate amount of success if we're on the right track. But yet, what starts to really happen, this is how it really starts to come across. And this is how it should feel. And this is based on different Olympic coaches who have like talked and taking like some of the top athletes to get to the highest level of wherever they're going. And they say that the rule of thirds is a third of the time you're going to feel good. A third of the time you'll probably feel just okay, at least on average. A third of the time you're just not going to feel good. You're going to feel like things are not going right. You're going to feel like a failure. You're going to feel like things are falling apart and things are just not right. So you start to look at the third. The question is like, how often are we finding ourselves in this space where we can kind of give some grace to the process of where we're headed? And in reality, like you never really know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice. So if we were to break this down and we really look at like a little bit deeper on this, here's this concept of a rule of thirds. This is when you're chasing a dream or you're doing anything hard. And I would say that finding success in real estate, that is a hard journey. When I say it's hard, it's not difficult. It's just hard. It's a simple process. It's just doing things consistently over time. And the hard part is oftentimes it's things that we don't want to do, or it's not happening in the time frame that we expect it to happen in. So we have certain time frames that we want to see results in, and sometimes it doesn't work that fast. So here's this concept of rule of thirds. So a third of the time, we might feel exhausted. We might feel fatigued. We might feel tired. We might feel like we're up against a wall and we're like moving forward, but we're just not feeling it. So that's a third of the time. The other third of the time, we might have like our optimal performance. Like those are the days that it's like it's working. Like it's like we like feel like it's like happening a certain way. And then we have the other days where it's just content. And I would say that as you start to look at your day and you start to look at your weeks, you're going to have moments in your real estate business that'll feel like all those. If it feels good all the time, that means that you're not pushing. It means that you're not doing anything that's outside the comfort zone to allow yourself to be pushed and to feel really uncomfortable. If you're always feeling outside your comfort zone and you're always feeling fatigued, then the question is, are you doing the right things? And are you giving yourself enough time, enough space to be able to recharge and replenish yourself? Because you being an empty vessel is not going to do anybody any good. So there's got to be some time where you can kind of regroup and re-engage and move forward. But there's got to be a balance between all these things. And if you want to have success, it's understanding there is a process to be able to get to where you want to go. And it's getting outside your comfort zone on a continual basis and allow that to happen. Like you don't want to pray for an easy life. You want to pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. You want to be able to push through to get to their side. Now we're moving into a marketplace that will reward the people who show up and do the work. Like if you're willing to be consistent, there's plenty of business out there for those people. Now what will happen is you'll have people who are going to want a result from efforts that they haven't done. We talked a little bit about this concept last week, and the concept is, it's kind of shared by Jim Harbaugh, the coach for the Michigan Wolverines. He said that in today's world, there are a lot of people who are standing on third base who think they hit a triple to get there, but they didn't hit a triple to get there. The market just allowed them to get there. They maybe got walked to first base. Maybe the pass ball allowed them to get to second base. Maybe they stole third, but they never hit a triple. In fact, hitting a triple is one of the hardest things to do in baseball. It's easier to hit a home run than it is to hit a triple. Triples are hard. But you have a lot of people standing on third base thinking that they did that on their own. But the market allowed that to happen. And you have a lot of people in today's world who have won participation trophies over the last several years thinking that they showed up so they are owed whatever they are owed because of whatever effort they did in the past. It doesn't work that way. Now, the beauty of the real estate world is it's a constant reshuffling of the deck. So the deck is reshuffled, and now it's a new game. And there is an opportunity for those who want to move forward to really embrace an unfair advantage in today's marketplace. And the question is, are you willing to play that game? Like, are you willing to play in a game that allows you the unfair advantage? And there's some benefit to that. Like when you're moving your business forward and you're stepping up and you're showing up in today's marketplace, you can really separate yourself. So we're gonna have a chance to break out in our rooms today, spend a little bit of time and have some discussion around some different concepts. And what I would challenge you and encourage you to do in the different rooms that you go in today is to spend a little bit of time finding out how you can move your business forward. Like if you're feeling stuck, this is your chance to have some real discussion around it. Like this is a chance to really move yourself forward. Now it's easy to hide in a room. Like you can go any one of these rooms and you can just hide there and listen to other people. But what good is that going to do you? Like if you're just hiding all the time, it's not going to help you move your business forward. It's just going to let you keep doing what you've always done. And the question is that good enough? And I would say that most likely doing what you've always done is not going to be good enough to succeed in the next market as we move into 2024. So I would use this time as a time to really find what some of the best practices are that people are doing right now. You could ask in the groups that you're going to be in what things they're seeing. What I would ask the different people who are moderating the different rooms, what things that they would suggest and ask them for advice and guidance. You've got Rena running her breakout session. Rena's been successful for many years. She's in all different types of markets. I would draw on that. Like I'd ask her for her advice and insights. I'd talk to Molly that like if you're feeling stuck with your technology, feeling stuck with some of the resources, that I'd like reach out and get some help in there. I'd reach out to Allie in her breakout. If you're feeling that you want to move your game forward in social media, I mean, you can step into there and be like, Allie, I want you to audit what I'm doing. Like, give me some advice, give me some suggestions on that. You can step into First Colony. The people from First Colony, they're successful in a very similar industry that we are. What they do with mortgages is what you do with real estate. So I would ask them what some of their best practices are, if they've got some advice and some encouragement for you to move your business forward. And you can always jump into my room. I mean, we'll just talk about whatever things we want to talk about in there. But you've got an opportunity to step into any one of those rooms, get guidance and help. But this is not the time to hide in today's world. And I would just use that concept of the rule of thirds that we just talked about to really get yourself out of the comfort zone, embrace the times that are hard, and see how you can move your business forward. So all the breakout rooms are opened up right now. Feel free to jump into any one of those. And you guys are good to go. So we'll see you on the other side.